Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off today. Oh my gosh, and oh my gosh. We finally are getting to some awesomeness and happiness and no sadness, but just awesomeness today. And we are getting to the climax of Magician Master, and we're celebrating the penultimate episode of our book stream, and now everyone on the planet knows what penultimate means, and that just makes me very happy. And all English teachers, please rejoice. And so we have one more after this, and as usual, I am joined by the lovely, the gracious, no longer the princess but now the queen, Princess Rennie.
Oh, thank you, Teresa. Good morning to you and to Lord Steaglesby, as he's got his Steaglesby gear on today.
Yes, it has been very posh. And you know what? I just realized this is how you know I'm not British, unlike Stieg, or not. It's
not
because
from Downton Abbey.
Not Downton Abbey. I should say Downton Abbey. I mean, I know I'm teasing. Of course, we know that he is a proud Norwegian, and I think that's awesome. But I called you Queen Princess Rennie, so all the Brits in the world are going stupid American. It's like, yes, I am.
Well, my husband treats me like a queen, and he tells me that I'm not a princess, I'm a queen, so I will take the compliment.
Aww. Well, you got promoted because when he put a ring on it.
That's right.
It. Yeah, so always great to see Rennie, and all the way from the future, in a northern latitude, far more northern latitude than we are at. It is the one, the only, the Viking Stieg.
Hi.
How's the future?
It's about 60 degrees
Damn.
today, so it's getting warmer.
Oh,
60 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I know.
I'm lucky.
I'm thinking lucky because of what we're experiencing, but also I'm thinking 60 degrees. That's like winter for us.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate it. It's too warm.
Oh, Jeannie Mac. Okay, well, so
You
the
would hate
ice.
Texas, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Several reasons he couldn't be in Texas. And one of them is, of course, another is he always makes those Alamo jokes, which would get him killed. And because I forget what you said once, but it's like, yeah. All right, so sorry.
I tried making an Alamo joke, but it didn't work, so I'm at a loss.
Things like that would get him killed. That's what I mean. All right, well, let's say hi to our chat. We have, yay, Queen Rennie, Princess Rennie. Good morning. It is Jacob Ironside, who has been reading with us all along, and I know you're very excited about these chapters. Oh, look, it is the king. Not King Charles, it is Tyrone, though I don't know if you want to be royalty or not. Help me out, Australians, but I know that he likes cricket, and one of these days he's going to explain to me why. Because I'm open to it. I'm open to it because people say the same thing to me about football, aka soccer, aka real football. They're like, how can you watch this stupid stuff? And they don't get it. All right. Albuquerque. I'll be watching with 4 eyes. Does that count as more? Ha ha ha. The Gourd King. Hello. For some, it is morning. For others, the day is 8 hours old, and we still have 4.5 more at work. Oh, well.
Oh, yeah.
I hope this helps you get through work. Yeah, work sucks. I don't endorse it, but sometimes you got to pay the bills. Oh, good morning. Correction, says Gord King. I've been awake 9 hours. I forgot to wake up an hour early at 2:45. Damn. Snowlix is here. Oh, this just popped on my Tweety feed. A friend recommended the first book to me a few years ago, and I loved it. I might have to skip the stream till I get to part 2. Well, I'm very happy you're here, and actually, I would recommend that. Usually, I don't recommend people to leave my stream, but you want to experience it for the first time by reading the book, because there will be spoilers out the wazoo. I'll definitely watch your stream of book 1, though. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you'd watch some of the others, if you are a Lord of the Rings fan, or if you've never read Terry Brooks, that's part of the reason why we were doing these. Everyone's saying hello, LOL, aloha, Gord King going live. For doing languages, well, aloha, dias meriguit. I don't know what you say in Norway. I guess in Texas you say hi. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Howdy.
Howdy. Yeah. And I'm always too frightened to try to speak Norwegian. So
we say hello.
Oh, that's not too bad. I'll still probably say it wrong though because I get judged. Mhm. Uh,
Always say hi.
Hi.
It's almost like hi.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. And of
Hello.
course,
Hi. It's the same. Pretty much the same.
yeah. And
As
when
you guys know, Australians say good day. So
today. And when Steve visits his papa at Downton Abbey, it is what is it? It is how do you do?
greetings and salutations.
Yes. Let me speak it taught me penultimate, says the Gourd King. Yay! You see, we learn things here at Miss Martin Muses. That'll be my word of the day. I need to get back to doing that, where Belle teaches everyone a word. I'm just heading out to work at the auditorium, but I'll catch up with the stream later. Thank you very much. The Gourd King does Texas pay Mexico? Oh dear me, alimony. You see, as long as you just don't say that out loud outside the Alamo. Thank you, Miss Martin. I shall return uncaught up. And Corey Cochran is here. Hello. Well, it's so good to see everyone in here for our stream today. I just love these chapters. I mean, I love all the chapters, but this is just where everything is starting to fall into place, and you're seeing how it's all connected and what Feist has been doing all along. And I just love it. The payoff is already happening. And what I'm so excited about for Rennie's case is you don't know the meaning of the word payoff until you finish this book. It has one of the most perfect endings, in my humble opinion, ever.
Yeah.
And that is rare to say. And the good news is you can stop with Magician, or you can read the next two ones. Sarthanon and the other one. Dag nabbit, I know what happens
It's
in it.
Silverthorn and A Darkness at Sethanon.
A Darkness at Sathanon. Yes, a Silverthorn. I love Silverthorn, but Darkness at Sathanon. So you can finish with those three, and then let's just say you want to do another trilogy. You can do that and then stop. He does it very, very well, but I am going to go to the furthest ones. To the end. Tyron Lethbridge says, Rennie, the favorite Aussie Wolverine, liked my comment. Oh my gosh, I'm sure it's the real one. Hugh Jackman liked your reply. Is that a joke? It was not the real one?
No, well, so there was a Hugh Jackman that followed me on Twitter, and I was like, "There's no way that that's the real Hugh Jackman." And anyone who knows me knows that I love me some Wolverine, and he is the perfect actor for Wolverine, and he
Hugh
is only
Jackman.
hot as Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman would have been great as Boric, or if he was younger, he could have played Martin.
Yes, I agree with that pretty wholeheartedly. So, I do endorse that.
Oh, don't do that to me, Stiga. You're distracting
He's
me.
a very
I'm
rugged man. Anyways.
Yeah, I know. I'm having all this. I'm being distracted. I'm thinking of Hugh Jackman as Lord Boric, and I'm like, oh yeah, oh hell yes, please,
Approved.
Yes, approved. Poor Steve had to sit through me and Lady Gravemaster just drooling over Luke Evans and from as Gaston, from Beauty and the Beast the other night, and of course Matthew. I call him Matthew, the Downton Abbey Beast, which was really those were the two good things about the live version of Beauty and the Beast. And yeah, we love our men here at Miss Martin Muses, and we don't care if they're gay or not. Okay, if you can sing like him, you can be as gay as you want. Not Brian is here, someone else from the future. We love our Brit here at Miss Martin Muses, and especially our Scottish. Oh gosh, I don't even forget I even tried a Scottish accent. Kill me now.
It's Scottish.
Thank you. Well, see, there you go. That was actually more Cockney, Steve, but that's okay.
Oh, don't be doing no Cockney over here. No, I'm just kidding.
I only speak proper. No, he still does a better. That's still a better Scottish than my Scottish. But yes, we do. I got someone. I was on another stream. Someone's like, "Wait, did you just say you're a Jacobin?" And I'm like, sorta. It was like 400 years ago, or 300, but I digress. In any case, we are now on chapter 9 of Magician, and let's just talk about a little bit of an overview about this chapter before we get into some of the beats. We are back with Thomas. And Rennie, what was your impression of Thomas in this chapter?
Um, so in the previous chapter, they kind of that they talked about him. They kind of led up to some of this, but they didn't really show so much the transformation. And I feel like in this chapter, it was a complete transformation, and he allowed this Ashton Sugar guy that was like either his spirit was trapped in the armor or whatever, to infiltrate his brain and his way of thinking. And I was like, wow, you lost your soul for a minute.
Mhm.
And so, I was a little worried, is he going to ever be able to come back from that? Because he just gave into it instead of trying to fight at first. And I just didn't understand. I'm like, what happened to, the Thomas that had so much integrity and so much valor? Where's this guy at?
Mhm. Well, he just got for lack of a better word, it was almost like a possession.
Yeah.
It was it wasn't that he had complete control, because when Martin saw him, what does it say? It says that he almost gasped because he said that he did not recognize the towering man before him. Alien eyes regarded him, and there was little remaining of the happy, grinning boy he once was. And Callan is just sitting there. You feel like they're kind of sad, because they like him. I think maybe part of the reason they're kind of sad because they think they're going to have to kill him. I think that's the thing too. But also he's hurting their mother. He's being like a Gaston, if you will, like that one scene
Yeah.
where she's obviously kind of sad, and he's like, "I wish to be alone, but please be ready for me. I'll be coming to the room in a minute." And I'm like, dude. Ah, yes, I
Well,
agree.
her son is definitely plotting to kill him
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
he is becoming a threat.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
thing. When they're discussing, amongst themselves, it's like, so can we afford to keep this guy around?
Yeah. Well,
So
they knew he was like becoming a beast out of control. He was becoming a weapon of mass destruction himself. Jacob Arden said, "I was starting to like Thomas in this chapter happened." Yeah, but then the ending happened, and we'll get there about how he brings himself back. Also, Martin almost kind of breaks through a little bit of his humanity when he tells him that Roland is dead, and there's a brief flicker in his eye. So that's I think our first hint that Thomas is still in there. Yeah, Thomas.
Yeah, and Martin also advises the elves to basically wait and see.
Hmm. Yeah, but also realizes that the inevitable might happen. Uh, Jacob Ironside says Thomas was treating the elf queen like, oh yeah. I mean, imagine that, treating that queen like that. It's like, dang.
Oh, it worked, kind of.
Well, yeah, well, because she was sad. I thought it was very interesting, though, when it
She
said,
she was happy in bed though.
well, okay, that's it was
well,
hinted that, because she was like, she dreaded the thought of him coming, but she also was excited, and so you're like, okay, so now
you must
we
be taking
know.
care of her needs.
I was about ready to say.
Well, not just that though. The elves were naturally submissive to the dragon lords
Mhm,
because we saw that in the flashback dream Thomas had.
Oh, that's true.
Because the elves were slaves.
mhm, yeah, exactly, and we'll actually see when he goes full Ashen Sugar. It's like they're compelled. They can't resist him. So that's a good point too. Maybe it wasn't just his skills. It did make me giggle the first time I read this. It really reminded me of like those romance books with Fabio on the cover. It's like,
Oh my
oh,
God, yeah.
I can't, I don't want to, but I just can't resist.
Yes. It's like, what?
He made her yes, but in any case, I mean, but it was sad seeing Thomas like this because he's my boy, and you just, what does Martin say? The power contained within this strange blend of man and whatever else lived inside him. Thomas was a being to be feared. And I love Martin. Well, I like the way the chapter starts off with Martin. It reminds us of how much fondness he has for the elves, because when he saw the slain elves, he cried. It's like, don't cry, Martin. I'll protect you. Oh boy. Let's see, what else do they say? Yeah, he is something beyond our understanding. And Kaelin goes, you know of our hatred for the ages spent in bondage to the Valharu. You know we reject the Darth path. You must know what we are forced to consider. Yes, that's Deke said. He was getting ready to kill him. And then Martin felt cold inside. Of all the boys he had known at Cryde, he had a special affection for three: Garrett, Thomas, and Pug. He mourned for Thomas. For whatever else might occur, Thomas would never be as he once was. He goes, and then Callan's, even as you pity a rabid wolf, you must kill him. So Stieg, and I can't blame them, I guess. Like I've said, but even just looking at my notes, I can't take this. They're all friends. They love each other. But, oh well. Tis what tis. Hello, Black Rocky the Black Dragon, 10 days till the 4th of July. But, well, Steve, when you were reading, oh, fudge. Sorry, I just unplugged my computer. When you were reading this, did you think that they were actually going to be killing him?
I don't remember. It was over 20 years ago.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Actually, then. 25, probably.
I mean, I kind of thought they were plotting to kill him, or that, you know, I thought that they were going to try, but they wouldn't be successful. That's what was going through my head, is like he would get that, I don't know, sixth sense, so to speak, and just like wind up slaying them all. And then I'm like, oh great, Martin's going to his death. But alas,
it would be well, he almost did. It got really tense there. So let me see. We already talked a little bit about how, what's her face? How do you say her name? Aglarana. Thank you. Yeah. And there was some dialogue between Thomas and Ashen Sugar where you're seeing that there is actually a spiritual struggle going on. We just can't see it. And he's like, I would like to fly Sharuga. Oh, wait, he's gone. Dead ages past. It was a dream. Oh, yeah, the fact that Ajahn Sugar doesn't quite know that he's even dead, because this is like, I'm not sure I even understand this. It's like he's a memory, but he's in the past and he's in the present.
Yeah, basically Thomas is a memory for him, even though he's in the future. And
yeah, so how did that... I guess it's something beyond our realm and understanding, the idea with all this magic. It's
because the writer's batshit crazy.
Okay. And then their dialogue before the big confrontation thing. I am Ashen Sugar. I am Thomas. If you've ever seen the musical version of Jekyll and Hyde, of course, if you've read the book, forget everything. There's a climax at the end, and it's great because the actor is actually playing both Jekyll and Hyde at the same time, and it's an amazing feat of acting. And it's like, don't set me free, and he goes, don't you see, you are me, I am you, you are Hyde. That's what this reminded me of, though of course this book was written first. So yeah, they were for sure plotting to kill him. Yeah. And I think, yeah, he was saving his mama. But I think still, well, when you say he's batshit crazy, Raymond Feist, you're not saying like he's not like he's crazy in the fact of crazy imagination. Is that where you're going with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's perfectly sane, but batshit crazy writing.
Mm-hmm. And the imagination that he has to come up with this. And this is also a little bit of a preview in what happens at the end of the chapter, and I don't know I can entirely blame Ashen Sugar. He goes, "I will destroy all who seek to plunder my world." So he just doesn't have any shades of gray on it. um, so, so in any case, then Dolgan shows up. Yay! Every time Dolgan shows up, I get happy. And he goes, "It's good to see you again, friend Longbow." It's like, yay. And Dolgan also hasn't really seen what had been going on, or didn't know what was going on until he tried to greet him, and he saw madness in in Thomas's eyes. And part of that was because Thomas had gotten a view of the Serrani prisoners that Dolgan brought. And he pulls his sword and slowly pointed at both of them. And he spoke alien words, but the elves were rocked by what they heard. Several of the older elves dropped to their knees in supplication, and the younger ones drew away in fear. And then slowly the elf prince turned to Martin, his face drained of color, in terrified tones. He goes, "At last, the Valharu is truly among us." That reminded me of a little bit of the black speech thing. A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I went to the same place. I'm like, oh, this is like the Lord of the Rings black speech stuff. So
yeah, and the elves especially are incredibly sensitive to it. And then, I mean, you know that we're in trouble, but I didn't know how much in trouble, because Thomas walks up to the prisoner and then just boom starts beheading him, severing the headsman from his shoulder, and blood splattering everywhere. And a low moan of fear came from the huddled slaves, and the remaining soldiers' eyes were wide with terror. Oh yeah, there were slaves and soldiers. And Martin was paralyzed, and he felt a cold dread, but it appeared as nothing to what the elves revealed in their abasement before Thomas. Callan's face showed a struggle within as he tried to overcome a nearly instinctive obedience to the word. So, this language of power, Callan was fighting, and maybe because he was young. And Thomas's eyes met Martin's, and Thomas said to him, "Martin, by the love I once bore you, be gone, or your life is forfeit." Mustering courage against the most consuming fear he had ever felt, Martin shouted, "I'll not stand and watch you slaughter helpless men." So what courage Martin had, because there was no way in hell he could have withstood him. And then, oh gosh, with inhuman speed, Thomas wheeled and two more Serrani died. So you're just, it gave me an image almost of what we saw in the Phantom Menace, the first time we saw the way Jedi fought, like at the height of their powers and stuff, and just they could just wheel and just knock the shit out of people. Boy. But Martin just showed a good deal of bravery, and Thomas picked him up and just threw him like he was a tenth of his weight. And there was more and more, like, just bodies and heads and all sorts of limbs flying everywhere. And then he started with the soldiers, but then he started to advance on the slaves. And a ragged cry came from Thomas's lips as Thomas killed the first slave. And then Martin got brave and was like, it doesn't matter a fuck, I'm not gonna let him kill them. And then
sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I think I'm skipping ahead a bit.
Yeah, because, or maybe I skip back, because even after everything that Martin did, he was going to try to stop Thomas. And then there was, like, it turned out that one of the slaves that he was about ready to kill was a little boy. And said Thomas saw an old ghost. And then that, like, shook something in him, and he goes, "Pug." And within his mind, pain exploded, and another will sought to overwhelm him.
Yeah, the slave looks like Pug a bit.
Hmm. Yes. And um indeed. And then it shook him out of it. And then another struggle happened, which was they were Austin Sugar is like, they're the enemy, slay them. And Thomas is like, he's a boy, he's only a boy, he is the enemy, a boy. And he like had this big physical pain going on. And Thomas is sitting there going, like his vision of pain, and I am Ashen Sugar, I am Valharu. And then this poor little boy, I love this. The poor boy is sitting there looking like, what the hell? It's like he's transfixed. He's like, is this guy gonna kill me or what? And then finally, this will within Thomas just goes, I am Thomas. And it was like an exorcism. I am Asher Sugar. I am Thomas. And then finally it was Thomas. And at that moment, it was actually Martin going, he got a bow and arrow drawn hard against his cheek. And he goes, put down your sword, or by the gods, I'll kill you where you stand. And oh, isn't that awful that it came to that? So it was going to be Martin that was going to do the death blow. And I like the way they don't even call him Martin. It says the huntsman of Cryde,
Yes.
which is why we love him. And then abruptly, the sword fell from Thomas's hands, and the plate nearly colored his eyes filled with tears. He dropped to his knee. Oh, Martin, what have I become? And he started sobbing. So terrible were Thomas's sobs of anguish, so filled with sorrow that the elves discovered they also wept. And then they were like, one of the elves said, we feared the Valharu had come. Rightly, it seems. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So, I enjoyed the internal monologue or the internal battle that he had, because I've been waiting for this, because it feels like Thomas has, and maybe, maybe you guys are right with him being possessed, but I just felt like he was a bit too passive with it sometimes and just allowing it to happen and enjoying the power. And I'm like, fight back for your integrity, man. Be who you are. This is not who you are. Where is the real Thomas? And finally when this scene happened, I'm like, okay, thank goodness, because I thought he was lost.
Yeah. And I was like, my baby, my Thomas. But yay, it's great. Hello, Zan. I bought all these books and they came out and loved them. They're kind of hard to buy. Yeah. Yeah. And so it was over. And I had said previously, I think maybe even backstage, that there were some things that I thought were going to go on with Thomas in this, but the books kind of went together. And I think it's in the third book about where we're going to see. And the fact that they say some miracle had occurred. It's like, there's a miracle. And Martin Longbow cradled the sobbing man in white and gold, who cried in anguish. But what's also then beautiful? Aglarana, when she sees him before her, she realizes, of course, that it is now Thomas. And he whispers in her ear, for each moment of sorrow I have visited upon you, O my lady. I pray the gods grant me a year to gift you with joy. I am again your adoring subject. Too filled with happiness to speak, the elf queen simply clung to him. Her sorrow, only a dim memory. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, now that he's back to being himself, it's like, all right. Finally get the real Thomas.
So. Yes. Yes, and he's he's cured. I mean, it's like, what am I trying to think of? It would be almost like, since I have Beauty and the Beast on the mind, how everyone was their cursed selves, and then this like magic comes down, and then their humanity comes through, and they're all perfect.
Well, it's basically she realizes, yeah, finally he's calmed down. Now I can peg him.
Oh my god. I just want to give a shout out to Nigel. This is one of Tyron's like closest friends. So thank you for showing up. We really appreciate you being here and glad to see you in the chat. So just want to give him a little shout out. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Nigel. And wow, he's more from the future than you. He can give us a report tomorrow's report. So hopefully we still have a planet if you are here with us. So welcome. Thank you very much. Oh, it's in the middle of the night there. Sorry, I looked at my world clock. But and Matt G brought the bacon. Yay! Thank you. Sir Matt of House Pig Meat. Okay, a new subscriber. Thank you.
Oh, awesome.
Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I always appreciate the support. And we are happy people here at Miss Martin Muses, except Stieg. And it's
Poor Stieg.
Well, it's okay. He doesn't have emotions.
That's the Downton Abbey in him. I forgot.
Yeah. He was. Yeah. Well, you had to be stoic up there. This is a man that thinks 60 degrees is hot. I mean,
oh my god, that's right.
If you, you'd freeze to death. Well, yeah, I love this chapter. Stieg, I'm going to hand over the floor a little bit to you here. Is there anything else you want to say about this chapter 9 and what we saw happen with Thomas?
No.
Okay.
Well,
he says in monotone.
No, it's just it's like Rennie said. It's been coming. It's eventually the shoe is gonna drop, right?
Yeah, it was coming, and then there was the climax.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't me this time.
And the queen was happy.
With a smile on her face.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, come on. Listen, I pray to God grant me a year to gift you with joy.
When a man wants to put a smile on your face, it really does make you feel good.
Darn right. We endorse that here at Miss Martin Muses. And we also endorse keeping our men happy too. That's always a good thing. Keep the men happy. Mm-hmm.
They can't try to treat you like a queen all the time if you don't make them your king. So
darn right.
Yeah, don't be a damn Markle.
Oh gosh, yes.
Are you saying you got some frostbite?
No.
Hey, oh yeah, poor Steve. Me and Lady Grey, not Lady Grandmaster, Lady T, all day back and forth. We keep talking about this stuff. Yeah, he had he got frostbite on his Todger, and was dumb enough to write about it. And it was only his mother's face cream that could thaw it.
I hope she wasn't wearing the cream.
Oh, dude,
no, she's been dead for like 25 years, which is, but when he smelled the cream, he said he felt the presence of her in the room, and then he put it on, and he wonders why everyone thinks he's a sick
this cream reminds me of my dead mom. I'm gonna lube it all of my dick. Nothing wrong there. And then he wrote it and published it, thinking it was a win.
Yes.
It's like, nobody will think you're weird or anything if you put that in your book.
Yeah, that'll show my brother. That'll show William. That'll show Dad, and not, you just can't forget his resentment over his brother getting more sausage than him.
Well, it's obvious because his brother didn't have his mom's cream all over the sausage. I mean, let's say he's trying to get laid and it's almost happening, and then the lady notices, oh shit, his dick is full of women's face cream. He
I
sleeps
was
with
gonna say,
everyone. I'm not gonna bang him.
well, what if he uses it as lube?
Well, she'd still smell it.
That's true.
Well,
Yeah.
it would look like he already used the woman's face as lube, right?
Oh, that's true.
Ew. Gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's like, gonna have a one night stand, and the guy has lipstick on his dick, and it's his mom's.
Oh my god, I can't.
See if I ever get Lady, because Lady Troil and I have been planning a lot of revenge streams talking about this stuff. She's gonna die. I'm gonna give her the timestamp to listen to this. But in any case, yes, he put the cream on and thought of England. Uh, oh yeah, cricket. Yeah, cricket.
Yeah,
Nothing but cricket. Nigel. Yeah, I'm for it. I'm for it. You two get to school me.
just think of the Union Jack off.
Oh no! And poor Lemon Pie had to show up just as
Oh,
well. Hey, who doesn't love a
well,
lemon pie?
we just talked about cream pie, and then lemon pie shows up.
Okay, that's a long way of
And
saying
we digress.
Thomas had a happy ending, and oh wait.
And Prince Harry is fucked up.
Oh dear. I'm glad we had this moment for our penultimate episode. Harkening back to the first time this happened during the Two Towers.
It was always coming.
It was always.
Sorry.
I know. I mean, come on, Tolkien. I know you're a posh British professor, but think a bit. All right. So in any case, Thomas. Yeah, I know I said happy. Okay. Thomas was transformed, and he and Albarada, or whatever her name is, or Algarana, she's like, I'm so happy. And they're all happy. And everyone's happy. And everyone's crying. And this really was the climax. I mean, that's why I was doing the climax of his story.
Yeah.
For this arc, this is the end of his arc. This is where he was struggling, and he's going to have a denouement from here out, at least in Master Magician. We will luckily and happily see him later. Wait, people are bashing you in the chat. I guess you do Dine and Dash.
No, that's just Matt G being silly.
Yeah, 9.5 magicians. Oh my god. All right. So in any case, we're gonna go on. Oh wait, did I give you a chance, Rennie? I think we said
Harry's biography should be 50 Shades of Mom's Makeup.
Oh.
On my cock.
Steve, that's only one of them. I mean, that's what. It's the most messed up thing I've ever seen in my life. And then he's like, why don't people want to have me on their TV shows? Why don't people want to hang out with me anymore? Because he also ratted out his friends and was like, yeah, I had drugs at that person's place. And all of a sudden,
yeah,
wait, they don't.
He's a fucked up ginger twat. And he certainly makes a case for that they're being inbreeding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless the rumors are true that his real father is one of the many men that Diana comforted herself with.
But he looks too much like Charles, in my opinion. Like, I really do think so. Especially when he was a little boy. It's like, oh, that poor thing. He took so much after Charles.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think he is Charles's. And they do have DNA tests for that kind of stuff. But as Jacob Ironside said, everyone was crying and the dwarves were very uncomfortable. That's probably true.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. We are now on chapter 10, where we go back to my boy Laurie. I love Laurie.
Yeah.
I'm glad that with Pug gone, I think Laurie gets to shine Laurie. He kind of has his thing. And he and I can't ever pronounce his name correctly. Kasumi. Thank you. Kasumi. They're like the odd couple bros. And I really enjoyed how Kasumi, you really see his first like introduction into Midkemia society, that he's having a bit of culture shock, and while back in the other world, Lori was a fish out of water. Now it is he. And there was one moment I almost felt bad for Kasumi in the sense of his soldiers were off fighting and they used that opportunity to sneak away, and it was hard because when you're a soldier, your instinct, you don't leave your friends, you don't leave your men, and but he did anyways, and just showing me why I love him so much.
I really appreciated what he tried to do because, he's like, for the greater good, I've got to treat for peace if I can. And so, it's what his attempt was or what his reasoning was. And he went to this unfamiliar land knowing that he could possibly get killed or, imprisoned or whatever. And, but he took that risk, and he took the risk of leaving his people and his family to try to, create some sort of treaty or influence it. And I really appreciated what he did. And I loved like the beginning of the chapter when he and Lori, I thought they were fighting at first, and then it's like, oh, they're just playing. That's cute. So they developed a great camaraderie. And I appreciated him and his brother and his father's treatment of their slaves or their servants. They weren't like a lot of the Tsurani that treated them like garbage. They were very kind, and they were very understanding that these are people too. This is just society's way of life. Doesn't mean we agree with it. We just have to comply. So I appreciated that perspective.
Yay. Yeah. And of course, I loved it when they made their way. First they went to the king, didn't they?
No, they went to Krondor.
Oh, first they went to Krondor before the king. You're correct. And they ran across their old friend Lucas, and he just is able to see how crap and run down Krondor was. And then you mentioned this, Rennie. You asked about the magician, if you thought it was Macros, and it was not. I think it was just showing us again that kind of culture shock that Kasumi was horrified. First of all, how people were talking to the magician. Like the magician, they're like, "Get out of here! Go take your begging somewhere else." And he was like, "That's a magician. What the hell's wrong with you people?" And the fact that he was starving, and then Lori went after him and gave him what some food and stuff, and he just was shaking his head. It's like, I just don't get it. It was so foreign to him because, of course, in their world, they're nothing short of gods. And it also kind of reminded me about Lori. Every time he says, "I have a friend who is a magician, a special friend, and he did me a great kindness once," and I'm thinking, we just had Thomas remember Pug, and now Lori's remembering Pug because they're friends. And another thing that struck me, Kasumi, when he said it's hard thing to know your country and look upon war as glorious. Yeah, two worlds. Yeah, Jimmy the Hand, and then yes, this is the best place. Every time Jimmy shows up, it is a happy world, and yeah, they were going to have a guide to help them, and it was none other than Jimmy. Wait, was this before or after? Okay, yeah. Oh, I want to say this, that the old magician, the peasant magician, he was like, "Oh, maybe I know this magician," and he goes, "Melamber." And it's just, every time I hear that, it kind of makes me happy and sad that we know what Melamber is for Pug, this badass magician, but also it's not our little boy Pug anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad he has a different name, but I don't know how well I like the name Melamber. I don't know. It doesn't roll off the tongue well.
No. Well, and as the books go on, I don't think this is a spoiler, Melamber becomes more like his title and Pug is his name. Like so it's easier to kind of maybe a little bit separate the two. So anyway, so yes, Jimmy the Hand comes and as always steals the show because we love Jimmy. Oh, I need to get this down, Tommy the Hand. Well, that's another discussion for another day. Yes, we love Jimmy the Hand here, and he reminds me of Gavroche. Gavroche was like one of the first characters like that in Les Miserables in Victor Hugo's book. That whole the happy-go-lucky little thief slash cute peasant type who has always helped everyone and was always able to outwit the big people. So I just thought it was pretty good. And so they are able to go visit the king, and he is just batshit crazy, and not in a like psycho batshit crazy way. He's just lost his mind because there was at one point in the middle of the night they look out and he's like screaming in the yard, and all the other people are kind of trying to chill him down, and so they're like, okay, there's no way he's going to be able to help us negotiate this peace. But it was also very dangerous because he's like, they're spies, and um he could actually kill them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And which is maybe why we monarchies with power can suck. He says, I can do whatever I want. So even in his madness, and it's very, very hard for them to, how do I say this? Even if the king is insane, it's very hard for them to disobey a direct order from him. But then there was the honor of the guy who helped them, the duke, and he says, it's my job. I am a duke of the kingdom. I'm a royal of the kingdom. He is my king. I must do whatever I can to keep him from harming the kingdom, even if the price is my life, but I cannot raise arms against him, nor aid those I do. I don't know how things are with your world, Sarani, but here I must stay. He is my king. And so Kasumi is like, I understand. I would, in your place, I would do the same. You are a brave man. And they kind of shook hands with solidarity. And again, we're seeing this kind of more than one bro moment is happening. And then he tells them that Erlund is dead. Now this changes everything. Stieg, when I read this the first time, I was like, holy crap. The whole balance of power was changed, because with Prince Erlund being dead, I mean, we know what happens. Oh, Stieg, I'm sorry. Yeah. So that means.
Were you eating, Stieg?
No, I was waiting for her to finish talking.
You sounded shocked. You were like,
I was giving you a prompt. Shit. In other words, Prince Erlund's dead, so that means what? About my man Duke.
I don't want to answer for you.
Never mind.
Well, it could mean several things, but Guy the Bastera will most likely be king if something happens to the actual king.
Correct, but the rightful king now is none other than our man
Boric.
Yes.
Yeah, he is now back to being the heir, not the spare.
Yep.
And then we learned by the end of this chapter that he's told, that by the way, with the Duke Boric being severely wounded and about ready to die, Liam is told, well, your father is probably dead pretty quick, and soon you're going to be the heir. So suddenly Liam, who is as far as he could imagine being from the throne, he now realizes he's the next king of the realm, and it's a huge power shift. Of course.
Well, they also go to the king, though.
They've already been there, and then they left, and then they went to the Duke.
Oh yeah, but I was thinking his mental health is worse.
Yes.
Yes.
Way worse.
it's really scary when you have someone in power who is not of sound mind. Like when his demise hits, he has this, yeah, this like, oh, I was evil. I don't think you were evil. I just think you don't realize what you were doing, and maybe you didn't mean to do some of these things, but um, it's really scary, having someone like that in power, and I think this kind of helps to show that. So it's like, maybe the best decisions weren't made for the greater good or for the good of the people, and it's it's probably not good to have someone like that in power, especially in a time of war.
No.
So
You don't want to have that shit crazy.
yeah.
And yeah, it means civil war, says Jacob Ironside. Yes, it does. And that's the other thing. And he says, upon your we have civil war. So Liam also will have to be the one to try to stop it. And unfortunately, in response to what you were saying, Rennie, I'm not going to read that out loud because I am bowing down before the YouTube overlords. But
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. I mean, we know all about that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And of course, the elephant in the room is now that all of these people, everything is shifted because Bork's going to die. Liam is the heir to the throne. And then that means Arutha will become heir to Krondor because that's what Liam was. And then, of course, we've got the illegitimate son, Martin, in the mix. So everyone's lives have changed because of this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Welcome for being here. Yeah. And Rennie answered your question. So that's the end of this chapter. So speak now or forever destroy your happiness if you have anything more you want to say about this situation.
This is the chapter where Boric goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I did think that was really interesting, and I don't recall you mentioning this, and if you did, I apologize, but him mentioning to Liam that Martin is his brother was very gut-wrenching for me, and very tearing at my heartstrings. And for Liam to have that conflict with, it's like, well, I'm not really the rightful heir. This isn't fair, and it's like, well, you're just gonna have to suck it up, son.
Yeah. Well, except I think are you ahead of us, though? I don't know if that's in this chapter.
Oh, that's why I'm like, did we meet Boric's demise? So I might be thinking of a different
You're
chapter.
thinking ahead. Well, that's not a main spoiler because at this point we're going toward the end anyways. But yeah, I mean that this is going to be an issue. This is going to be an issue.
Oops, my bad.
Yeah. It's all right. We'll go into the detail. Plug your ears, everybody, but it's okay. Yeah, Pug is the master. Yeah, and that's what we're going to see in this next chapter.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
that was good.
Mm-hmm. So before we move on, Steve, you have anything you wish to add?
No, stuff's building up, but also coming together, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we're nearing the end.
Yeah. I just remember at the beginning when we were reading this, and I remember, especially in Magician Apprentice, when Rennie was kind of like, I don't know. I'm sitting here biting my tongue because I know what this is all going to mean. It doesn't get fulfilled until the end, but it's just like, oh, it's just so awesome. It's just so awesome, and how it all works out. But yes, please, everyone, please keep reading. And in any case, let's go ahead and continue with what we have next, which is none other than the chapter we've all been waiting for. And I'm not necessarily going to walk through this one. There are aspects I will, but I want to hand the floor over to Rennie and just tell me what you thought about everything that happened in this chapter.
Well, I one thing that really stuck out for me is, I was feeling like Pug was kind of like Thomas, where he was losing himself for a minute and he was losing his personal integrity. I feel like he got this chapter or this back in this chapter, as well as, showing that he's a force to be reckoned with, and he doesn't appreciate everything that's going on with the Surani. So, he was sitting here in the last chapters we've seen him in, oh, I'm Surani, and it's like, but these are not good people necessarily. Like, not all of them are bad, but like the way that the society runs is not good, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, why are you aligning yourself with these people that have done such horrible things to the people where you're from, and or to your own native people, which, no, you don't have to necessarily side with them, but just to see that they're causing others suffering when this didn't happen in your old homeworld was awful, and so I just thought he had lost himself for a minute, and he comes back with a vengeance and sees what's going on isn't right, and he fights for it, and he fights for it hard, and he winds up poning some of these people. So
yeah, well, and just how even the people themselves started to rebel against it, because when the Thurl refused to fight the Midkimians and vice versa, and they just threw down their swords because they knew it was dishonorable, because that's who they were, and then the stupid warlord was like, no, you've got to fight each other. And it's just like the people rebelled, and they're like, just hang them. And they're like, no, dishonorable.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that the audience was fighting for the gladiators. I guess, I mean, I'm going to call them gladiators because that's pretty much what they are, right? So they were like, don't give them a dishonorable death. And it's like, well, but the fact that they're killing them at all is just horrid to begin with, so.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, but it also shows, the honor code that they have. And before we go on, this is a good point here, Jacob. So I'm going to go back just a little bit back here. He says Pug was planning for this to happen, so he knew it would eventually happen. Yeah, Pug saw this. He always kept saying, this is inevitable, that I am their enemy. And when I meet out, when I judge, it's going to be without mercy. I did enjoy, though, at the beginning, there was a little bit of banter between Pug and the other guy, Hippo. Or Hippo.
Hocho Peppa.
Thank you, Hocho Peppa. Where Pug was like, why is everyone talking about everything? Why are people saying I'm doing this? Why am I doing that? And Hocho Peppa was, because you're telling everyone this crap. You told the gardener, you told the council and all that. He's like, but that didn't mean I was trying to start something. And he's like, you can't run your mouth like this if that is the case. He even says, well, then if you don't want people attributing you to these new ideas, then sew your mouth shut. And I like that, because there's the idea that he sometimes didn't know when to keep his damn mouth shut.
I thought it was awesome that Hocho Pepper's trying to look out for him. He's not like being like, dude, you suck. It's just like, dude, you're going to get yourself killed or, ostracized. Stop it.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that.
Yeah. And he's a man of his world, and I think they're all going to learn from each other. I also like the comment, though, that Hocho Peppa said, Melander, you have a disturbing habit of taking things personally. And sometimes I wonder if he's right. Because taking things personally is what makes us good people, if you will, makes us empathetic. But when you take things personally, it also can get you into trouble.
Yeah. And get you too emotionally invested, and you can't look at things objectively. It's just like, well, that's not right. That hurt my feelings. It's, where do you draw that line, right, between empathy and, being objective?
Exactly. And again, something I completely completely relate to is the moment that Pug loses his shit, and it is when they're trying to do this. And Stieg, you have told me and from the beginning that you were looking forward, of course, when I read it, for me to read it, and then I was looking forward to ready to read it. That this is your favorite chapter, or one of your favorite moments with Pug. I didn't know if you,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, favorite chapter with Pug so far, and one of the best moments to happen. This is what we've been waiting for all along. Um, it's when you start reading about his adventures in the first book, it's like there's something special about this kid, and then it's like it never happened. So it's like, well, where is this special talent that we're being led up to seeing from Pug? So, I didn't understand, why it was taking so long to get there, or if we ever would get there, because it felt like, well, maybe it's just one of those things where it never gets developed, so we never get to see it. And I was really hoping that wouldn't be the case. So, um, which unfortunately was, or not unfortunately, fortunately was not the case, thank goodness. So it was nice to see him come into his own to, to make some executive decisions that maybe he wouldn't have otherwise made. So I really appreciated this this chapter as far as Pug goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Steve, could you share with us maybe about your thoughts about this chapter?
Well, it was building up, you know,
Uh-huh.
and finally Pug snaps out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a bit like what happened to Thomas, possibly at the same time.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, because the times are over. You know, what do you call it? They're overlapping. Yeah. And he also, mm, I just love it. Yeah. And I like the way when Pug's anger is starting to boil up, that he, what was I going to say? Hocho sees it and sees the expression on his face, the rage, and sensing something terrible was about to occur. Hochopoto sought Shimon's attention, and then he just said to Hochopepa, sorry, see to the emperor's safety. Milamber was reeling with the impact of a sudden emotion bottled up for years, now surging free. His two natures were now in harmony. This was a dishonor by the standards of both cultures. And it's just like you just see that crap is I when I get mad, if you've ever been really mad, um it sometimes it's you almost like see red. I know you don't literally see red, but you know what I mean. It just starts boiling up within you, and I like the way it says emotion bottled up for years, surging free, and it's just like everything he's been up to this point, and suddenly his eyes rolled up into the back of his head, and letters of fire appeared in his eyes mind, but never before had he had the strength to seize this moment. So he was always, if you will, kind of in a raw power sort of way, capable of doing this, but he had all the training, all the experience, and his right arm shot forward and energy exploded from his hand, and I'm just like, oh yes, oh yes. And living men were swept in all directions like leaves before the wind, and he's like, no more, no more. And luckily by this point Hochapopo and the other magician had gotten the emperor to safety, and the warlord's like, you dare this, and he goes, I dare this. And it's like, dude, maybe when you're starting to see this kind of thing going on, Maybe don't anger the magician. And also we've never seen a confrontation between a warlord and a magician because they just wouldn't do this. And then Melamber finally goes, I because he freed the slaves and all that, said this is all done, we are free, they are free. And he goes, you can't do this. He goes, I can. I am outside the law. So in a way, it's like their own thing, like coming back to bite them in the ass. And and then I love this. Instantly, there was frantic activity as all within earshot scrambled to get clear of the two magicians. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Run for your lives.
Yeah, the smart ones did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and that he tore aside the last barriers between his conscious mind and those hidden reserves from which all his powers stem. What he was, who he was, not a black robe, limited by the ancient teachings of one world, but an adept of the greater art, a master in full possession of all the energy provided by two worlds, a master. And then, let's see, he did like this nuclear bomb thing or something. He claps his hands above the head. Energy explodes upward, and the fountain continued until it's high overhead, like covering the stadium like a great canopy. The sky turned dark, and he goes, all here are now judged. And of course, a lot of people also said, okay, time to leave. It said judicious ones fled by near exit. Some stayed to think it was their amusement. It's like, dude, he warned you. And he's like got this ultimate like megaphone going on. Tremble in despair, he said, for I am power. Then he says, wind. And then this big ass wind blows everywhere. And it turned colder until it was stinging to those who had barely known cold. The magician was engulfed in an eerie light, pulsating with energy. Terrible figure in the dark. And then his voice cut through the sound like a knife. Rain! And then cold rain blew down, and never had there been such a display of raw power. Here was a true master of magic. The magician who had challenged Melamber lay across his seat stunned, and I think he was thinking, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that. And then he goes, fire! And then the clouds seemed to burn, and rain and lightning, like, but it's like fire rain comes and starts setting everyone on fire, and the stink of burned flesh filled the air. And then he crosses his arm and says, earth, and the earth began to move. And it just rolled and just tore everything to shreds. And then after basically everything was done, it was gone, it was dust, and only the warlord pretty much was there. The magician clapped his hands and was gone. I mean, this is badass. This is amazing. Yeah. Relatable. Yeah, Zan. I've been angry like that before, but the good news is I don't have that kind of power.
Do you know what I kind of pictured? And don't like hate me for this, but do you remember that scene in the first Anchorman movie when he and Veronica were gonna fight, and you see flames in his like irises or whatever? That's what I picture with Pug. Like when she finally hits that like lowest blow and is like, your hair looks stupid, and then like his eyes like fire up and he's like, ah. I picture that like was what was going on with Pug mentally, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, that's it, I've had enough, I'm done.
Yeah. It's like, I'm losing my shit. Well, it's a little bit, remember that expression that from the 70s, God is coming and she is pissed. That's kind of a little bit of what I was thinking. It's like, though of course an entirely different context for that expression, but yeah. And they never really have come across anyone that's been able to control the elements in that manner. Yeah. So pretty sweet.
Well, and I think they kind of talked about where he was able to figure out where the root of his power was, like with his emotionality. And so now you get to see him really utilize that or tap into it, so to speak. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Jacob, for pointing that out. And then, then the animals, they broke free. The hungry animals started eating the audience.
Yeah.
You talk about justice.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Then it turned out. Yeah, that's whole different.
Oh, gosh. Kevin Smith. Yes.
Oh, don't get me started on Kevin Smith. He's always been an idiot. People didn't see it, and I don't know why. He hasn't changed one little bit. He was an arrogant ass who didn't know his butt from his toes back then, especially Dogmas were. Well, never. Don't even get me started. He is so ignorant and thinks he's so smart when everyone's like, "You so dumb," and people only noticed it because people usually only tend to notice things like that when suddenly they do something that they don't like. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, he's dumb." It's like he's always been dumb. Greetings, hello, Tommy. Yeah. So actually, if I triggered anyone bashing the 1990s Kevin Smith, sorry. No, not. But he people don't change. They just gradually reveal who they truly are, and social media has helped us do that. That's my little thought on Kevin Smith. One line per film. Yeah, it's better. Yeah, it's better when he just didn't say anything at all, or you had to like seek out his stuff.
Silent Bob.
Yeah. We agree with Silent Bob and being silent. I mean, if you don't know, well, I always say if you don't know what you're talking about, shut up. And he's not as never mind. Well, that's a total digression. But yes, not that I would do this to him, but even though we have a little bit more with Lambert, even though we have a little more with Pug in this book, I think that this was also his climax. And it was explosive. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, and it did not disappoint. But also he also knew that he had to get the hell out of there as fast as he could. Because he was that powerful and all that, but he had a family, he had his kid, and they needed to leave. They needed to go. And so this is where the fact that he was doing all of these studies on the rifts really came handy. And he sensed that something like this was going to be coming because he got all his affairs in order. He freed the servant of Katala and left his estate to Natoho so that they can go and get married. He left his books to his friends. He left all the stuff, and then he said, "Burn everything else." And then he took off with Willie, and then off they go to our land. And Katala just really showed just how awesome she is, because she's just been in a bit of a passive role because she can't really be otherwise. She's a slave, she's a woman, and her role so far has been as Pug's wife, now Pug's love and all that thing. But we see in this scene for the first time how really truly capable she is, and Pug even makes note of it, that she had never ridden a horse before in her life, and she just got right on it. He had to take the reins, and he just said, "Hold on," and she was like a champ.
Yeah. And she treated their servants really well. Mm-hmm. It was sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And then I also love the way that when they got there, every time they ran into someone, the people, the Serrani didn't know who Pug was, that what had just happened. Rather, they just saw he was a great one. So all he had to do is like, get out of my way. Oh, I need a horse. I need this. Oh, this. And they're like, yes, your will, great one.
And even if they knew, he's still above the law.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It might change though if they, revoke his authority somehow. But you need the other great ones to do that.
Yeah. And is that something that the great ones would actually do?
And we know that the emperor is on his side, because
Yeah.
he is in cahoots with Lori and Kasumi, trying to broker a
Yes.
peace,
Hmm.
which the warlord didn't want. But he's severely lost face now because of the arena thing.
Yep. There you
Then
go.
he will likely commit suicide as an honor thing.
Yeah. And to be honest, at that point, that's the only thing that he can do. There's no point in living after
Yep.
that. Which is why you don't be a douchebag warlord. Okay? And you wouldn't have to do that for your honor. But oh my gosh, the ending of this chapter when they finally came across the kingdom and Midkimiran men and they call out, "Who rides this night?" And Pug responds, "Pug of Crydy." Oh my gosh. I mean, come on. That was like a triumph because we've been waiting
Yeah.
for this. It's like I'm back, and also reminding us that he's still Pug. They've been calling him Malamber all this time, and then he's like, "I'm Pug."
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, it is you. You look so different."
you've got a new designer. Is it
That's
Dior?
right.
Yeah,
Who
but this
are you
chapter,
wearing?
yeah, like on the Academy Awards. But actually, this is where it stops. It just stops with that Pug of
Yeah.
Crydy, and then the next part comes. And again, um, just so much satisfaction, so much satisfaction. And the warlord commits seppuku. And very similar. There's many aspects of the culture. Of course, all that stuff in the arena gave me some flashback kind of ideas about the Roman Empire. What they would do in the Colosseum, because that's what they would do with uh, their people. Have people fight to the death for the amusement of the crowds. It's a thing. So that's it. This is our penultimate chapters. We've only got one more to go, and that's it. So I'll once again hand it over to Rennie, and then I'm going to ask you, Steve, for your thoughts. Let me have it. What's going on,
Well,
Rennie? Yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
No, you're fine. I just wanted to wait because I hate interrupting, and sometimes I just don't get it right on these things. But
No.
I really did enjoy seeing Pug come into his own and really fight for what's right, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And really showing, to hell with the consequences. I'm going to do what I feel like needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was great. And the fact that he's going back to Crydy, and he already knew, like, it's the moment that happened, oh, we have to leave. We have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
We have to find the rift. So I thought that was a really cool thing that he already had that backup plan in mind, right? Because, as a problem solver, as a leader, which they're trying to make him out to be, in my opinion, you have to be able to have a plan B. And so he already had that in mind. He already knew what he was going to do. He already planned, like, okay, when I leave, these people will get the property. I already know you guys are a couple. You have my blessing to get married. Here's the paperwork for it. That was really cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, knowing what he was going to do, how he was going to do it, and just executing the plan as quickly as possible was good. The only thing that I wondered about is, like, why wasn't he able to just, like, teleport to the rift with his family? Thought that would have been really cool. But,
Yeah.
I thought the rift thing made magic around it unstable.
Oh.
You could very well be correct. Because I don't recall.
Because, yeah, it had to do with magical objects and.
Okay. Well, then that would make a lot of sense. But, like, or at least, like, teleport, like, close enough to where then you only have to, ride or walk for a little bit, So I just thought that would have been an interesting way to get there faster and get out of there.
Does he know how to teleport?
But didn't he do it already? Or no? Am I thinking of someone else? Yeah.
No, he had that little machine thing that made him teleport, I thought.
Yeah.
No, wait, and he disappeared, though. He disappeared from the arena. So that was teleporting. He didn't have the machine there.
Yeah, because so when he was done with the arena, he like disappeared and teleported home, right? So that's why I thought he'd be able to do that, but instead, his former master gave him like the device to use, which I thought was pretty cool. No, it wasn't his former master; it was the other guy. But yeah, I just thought that would have been an interesting way to get there instead and really show off his powers. But that's just me.
No, you're absolutely right. Oh, for fuck's sake, pardon my French. Oh gosh, just wait till the end and we can talk about that because, yeah. Well, you don't want to accidentally screw up, and I guess it would be the equivalent of a Star Trek accident like what happened on the motion picture, which still is one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's gross.
Yeah, that's actually one of the most probably impactful parts of that whole movie. That it's the only one that showed us a malfunction of a transport. And what did he say? What came back didn't live long. So maybe that's also what he's. Yeah. So there we are. Stieg, what are your thoughts?
Superb chapter, and now Pug is back where he's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
And so is Thomas. Mentally.
Yes. They all came home metaphorically and literally. Not to mention what's happening with our boys, with Martin, with Arutha and Liam, that they're all going to have that moment as they come to terms with the inevitable about their father's death. So, yes, thank you, Jeff. Yeah. So I guess there's really not much more to say about it. Oh yeah. And I actually have some thoughts in the back of my mind a little bit about this because of the events of this week, but we are not going to bring down this stream by thinking about that. Not at all. So we are going to push. We're going to push forward to the end. Let's see. It's going to chapters. Well, just to the end. Just finish the book. It's going to be over 100 pages, but I think that you're going to not have any trouble finishing it up because we talked about breaking it, and it's like, no, let's do it. We're at the finish line. Yeah. Let's push through, and it's not going to be hard to push through because these chapters, like these last three, you just can't stop. It's very hard to stop because he's so masterfully bringing it to a conclusion. Yeah. Okay. So we've already said that. So I want to thank everyone that's been here. I appreciate you all so much. I mean, this channel wouldn't be what it is without you. And if you could maybe spread the word, especially, we're getting some watch hours going, and I'm going to be continuing with live streams. I am currently able to do so, and I will continue to do so as long as I can. That's the plan. I have some videos upcoming, but I have been saving them for when I'm going to be doing some caregiving work when I don't have time to stream, so that I can, give some of this content for you all. Got one on close encounters of the third kind and the solfege, how they are communicating with each other, as well as some Tom Shippey notes from some scholarship I've done on Lord of the Rings about what he says about Tolkien being the author of the century, a biography of Sarah Adams, also some food, some strawberry shortcake, some sweet rolls from Skyrim, some filet mignon, and the like. So before I do, from the most magnificent city on the planet, definitely better than Waterford, from Cork, God's country that God blessed and Our Lady sings the praises of in the beatific vision, Cork City. Hello, Mountains of Elysium. Dropping against me like, thank you. I do appreciate it. And as you say, Cork rules. St. Finbar over St. Orwan any day. Thank you. Great show. Bye all. Thank you for being here. Yes. And if you do follow us on Twitter, we're not really being blasphemous. It's a Cork thing. It's an Irish thing. that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. We're in a holy competition. We're on a mission from God. And so there, love the Irish. I'm going to get my butt back there definitely as soon as I can, as long as situations go better around here for me. And let's see, I'll let Rennie. Rennie, where can we find you?
Well, here next week. But typically I will be on Mr. Brown Alliance from time to time on Sundays. I just need to find out what the topics are for tomorrow and whether they're relevant to me being there or not. So I may or may not be on tomorrow, but I know that he wants to do some more movie streams soon as well. So we may be doing some good ones. I know that he wants to do Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, the extended cut, and I will be on that one, faux show. So we shall see, but no date as of yet. That's pretty much it.
Excellent. So yeah, if you don't follow her on Twitter, please go and follow her. Sorry, now to Elysium. Before we go to Steve, yes, this is true. This is the Lord's truth. Cork people like you and I need to talk to God to find our equals. Yes, to paraphrase from the from the Braveheart, though I think that is a bit of an Irish thing. Yes, Cork is the superior city, let alone the superior county of Ireland. Let's see. Hello, Charlie Stevenson. Thank you for being here. Bye, everyone. And Steve, where can we find you?
This week. This channel next week.
Correct.
That's it, as far as I know.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I might be on with Mora. I'm not sure if we're doing a top 10 thing.
Yeah, we're all in a bit of a wild schedule right now. Yeah, so but yeah, if you don't subscribe to Jade's Shadow, please do so, and also subscribe to her live channel. She's awesome. Really good stuff. Really knows her stuff. And keep your eyeballs open. We are planning on a D&D stream with the three of us. It's really just a matter of finding the right time between all of our schedules. And with 4th of July coming up, it's kind of up in the air about a lot of things that we are doing. I'm on hold right now, waiting for the chance to get the go-ahead to fly to where I'm needing to fly. So goodness knows about that live stream, but please stay tuned. We enjoy talking about D&D. Let's see, we've done real D&D. We've done the Conan, and now we're about ready to start a tailor-made 80s game. Siegs tailor-made it based on the Call of Cthulhu rules. So that's going to be loads of fun. Also, Pub Crawl will be continuing. We are going to be having none other than La Rita Creole. It is confirmed. The marvelous, gosh, if you do not subscribe to that woman, she is amazing. She knows her stuff. The topic is still to be announced, but she will be my guest on Pub Crawl on Monday at, I believe, 8 Central. I need to double check if it's 8 Central or 8 Eastern, but do stay tuned. And I will be sharing the link out on Twitter as soon as things are confirmed about the topic. Biggles Mets will be coming, then Infinity during 4th of July week. Also, Drunk 3PO is going to be slotting in there. As he's very busy, as everyone knows, with his fulfillment right now. So stay tuned for him and many, many other guests. We're just confirming dates, so I don't want to announce until it is so. And that's really it. I'll be continuing with my Teresa travels and musings and whatever comes to mind. So without further ado, I'm going to end this stream. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to not piss off Pug.